Our next guest tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Passio, who's a local activist here in Philadelphia, who's got a lot to say, but Mark, it's just unbelievable what happened to you and your wife a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we were assaulted by federal agents in the Cradle of Freedom right here in Philadelphia, right outside of Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell, for simply doing nothing other than exercising constitutionally protected natural rights of freedom of speech and freedom of the press. And this is where it has come in America, ladies and gentlemen, that now federal agents are telling people in the home of freedom, where this country was born, that they need to pay the federal government permission, to ask the federal government permission and to pay them for a permit to exercise free speech and free press. I'll set it up for everyone. We attended the End the Fed rally here in Philadelphia, which takes place usually bi-yearly, almost every 6 months here in Philadelphia. There's an End the Fed rally. And this is done simply to call attention to the local citizenry here in Philadelphia about the immoral monetary policy of the Federal Reserve banking system, which is the central bank of the United States. So we were handing out flyers, and I'll read what was on the flyer. The flyer simply said, "End the Fed, the Federal Reserve Bank, keeping the poor poor since 1913. Quick facts about the Fed. Since the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913, the dollar has lost 95% of its purchasing power. Money creation robs people of their savings by causing the hidden taxation of inflation. Most of the personal income tax pays interest on the national debt directly to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve enables Congress to pay for unlimited warfare by giving them the power to borrow money without the people's consent, and the Federal Reserve concentrates power into the hands of special interests and removes it from the people where it belongs." And then it had two links, Truth, Freedom, Prosperity, and cfliberty.org. truthfreedomprosperity.org and cfliberty.org, two local activist groups in the Philadelphia area. That's all the flyer had on it. And it wouldn't matter whether it said that I want you to accept Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. It wouldn't have said that I want you to embrace dark occultic worldview. It wouldn't have said that, it didn't matter if it said that I'm pro-abortion. It wouldn't have mattered that if it said I'm anti-abortion. It wouldn't have mattered if it said I'm pro-gay marriage. It wouldn't have mattered that if it said I'm anti-gay marriage. Nothing that is on the flyer would have mattered, because people have a natural, inherent right that is a birthright that they need no permission to exercise from anyone. It's an unalienable human right to speak and to engage people peacefully with information that cannot be alienated. That means it cannot be separated from or taken away from mankind.
Yeah,
this is a natural right.
And like I've joined you guys a few times down the End the Fed rally, and it's a peaceful demonstration of our First Amendment rights to speak out against the Federal Reserve and the sham that's become the Federal Reserve, and with them printing up worthless greenbacks that are not backed by gold like people think it is.
Not only is it not backed by anything, when you inflate the money supply, what you're doing is devaluing the purchasing power of that unit of currency. And therefore, it's a hidden theft. It's a theft that goes unnoticed. If you put money away in savings and time passes by, because of inflation, that money doesn't buy what it once could buy. People think of this as the prices of things as going up, but it's not. It means that the purchasing power of the unit of money is going down, and this is a direct result of the Fed's monetary policy. So what we were doing is exercising not only a right, not only a human right, but a duty to warn people about an immoral activity that is taking place that constitutes a hidden theft. This is even beyond a right. It's a moral obligation, a duty. If you know how this scheme works, you have a moral obligation to tell other people about it. And now federal officers come up to us and say that we cannot hand out flyers without a permit. We have to seek the government's permission and then pay them money to receive a permit to be allowed to hand out information to other people. So when they told me this, I was so, first of all, taken aback that I couldn't even believe these people were daring to tell me I needed a permit to speak and to exercise my natural right, which is constitutionally protected in the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the United States of America.
Right, and that's something that you've done 20 times in the past, but no bullcrap.
At the very least, maybe more.
Right, and people are always, and I've been down to Independence Hall before, people are always walking around handing stuff out.
Right, right.
And then the thing that I did notice is half the park police that were there that day did not have their name tags on. Right.
Because they're embarrassed about what they're even being asked to do. Because what they are good little order followers who don't care about what's right or wrong. They don't care about rights. All they care about is a paycheck. That's their God. That paper God is all their value system. They have no value system. That is their value system, a piece of worthless paper. And they will do anything that they're told because they think that they can abdicate their personal responsibility to know the difference between right and wrong. And let me just, I'll wrap up the story, and I just want to make a few other comments. I calmly asserted that this is a natural right and that I don't need the permission of the federal government to exercise a natural right, that it's an unalienable right of all humankind, and that no one can tell anybody that they don't have a right to exercise that right or tell them that they have to pay someone for permission, to beg someone for permission or pay them money to be allowed to exercise that right.
And this is all in the shadow of the Liberty Bell in Independence Hall, where freedom started.
Right next to the Liberty Bell, right outside of the Liberty Bell, across from Independence Hall and a statue of Thomas Jefferson, one of our founding fathers of this country.
Right, it's just bull crap, man. It's just, I don't know. It's just our rights are getting eroded more and more, and it's not like we're not anti-government. We're pro-Constitution.
Well, this is the reason that the Second Amendment is even in place. The reason the Second Amendment is in place is to protect the First Amendment. Make no mistake about it. Once free speech starts getting shut down, that is the beginning of the total closing down of a once free society into a totalitarian police state. We are actively seeing that process before our eyes. And if people don't snap up and wake up and understand what's going on, they're going to find themselves in gulag prisons, Soviet style, in short order. Okay, so they became viciously angry that I said, no, you don't have a right to stop me from doing this. You don't have a right to tell me that I have to pay someone to exercise a natural right. This is, first of all, beyond a natural right. It's a duty. I'm not harming anybody in doing this duty, okay? I am not hurting anybody else's property. There's no littering taking place. I am not damaging anybody's property or usurping any of their natural rights. Therefore, you do not maintain the right to tell me that I may not do this. You're usurping my rights by even telling me that I may not engage in this activity. And when I said that, they became so viciously angered that I was daring to challenge them and tell them that what they were telling me was not correct and that they were actually committing a crime themselves in attempting to follow this unlawful federal regulation that should have never been written, that no one has the right to even write down and attempt to pass into so-called law. This is no law at all. This is no law. No one has a moral obligation to obey this law. No one, if anybody attempts to execute or enforce this law, they themselves are committing a crime. This is a criminal activity that was being done to us. Okay, we were being assaulted. Then they resorted to violence, physically stopped us and told us we were not free to proceed on our way when we were attempting to leave the area. We were simply walking through the area, handing a few people a couple of pieces of information. Right. And they said, you're not free to leave. You're not free to continue on your way. And I said, whose rights have I violated? Who have I harmed? Okay. Right. Whose property have I damaged? And they told me no one. No, you haven't done any of those things. Well, I said, then I want to be free to go on my way. And they said, well, you're not free to go.
Right.
And I said, I'm not free to go. I'm being arrested. I'm being unlawfully arrested because I disagreed with you, that you have the right to tell me that I may not speak or engage people peaceably with information? Yeah, and they said, yes, you're not free to leave. And slapped handcuffs on me and my wife, forced us to the ground against our will, held us there under duress in an unlawful arrest. And yes, this is a duress. This is an arrest, regardless of what you want to call it, and you want to play word games and say it's a detainment. No, it is not just a detainment. The word arrest means to stop, right. To use force to stop. Force was used against our will to stop us from proceeding on our way. That is an unlawful arrest. We have harmed none. We did nothing but exercise a duty and a right.
Right.
And we were stopped from proceeding on our way. Regardless of what you want to call that with word games, that is an unlawful arrest.
And that's bull.
Okay?
That's bull. And Mark, hold that thought.
Sure.
I got to take a commercial break at the bottom of the hour. Folks, we'll be right back with Mark Passio, who will continue with his illegal detainment by the feds. We'll be right back on the Chief Kessler Show. All right, we're back live. We're breaking all the rules with Chief Kessler. We have a phone call. This could be the magic number I've been waiting for. 570, you're on the air on the Chief Kessler Show.
Hey, brother. What's going on? I'm at Chief Kessler.
Chief Kessler calling into his own show.
Oh, my God. You guys are miss a fantastic time. We got one more day yet, and I can tell you one thing, folks. Tomorrow is going to be a bombshell. I can't get into details about what's going on with tomorrow, but it's going to be a closed-door session for law enforcement only with some top investigators that have been conducting a 22-month investigation into some very high-level individuals. Let's just put it that way. I can't spill the beans yet. But after tomorrow, it's going to be a game changer. I can tell you that. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be public, when they're going to go public with it, but I'll give the details out tomorrow. If they give the green light to give it out, I will definitely give it out. And I was also invited to D.C. to when they decide to actually formally bring the evidence in front of Congress. So we'll find out. It's going to be a very interesting ride the next couple months.
That's awesome.
I can tell you that. It's going to be a game changer.
What you going to do when they come for you, bad boys, bad boys?
I'm meeting with the law enforcement from all over the country, sheriffs, chiefs of police, elected officials, mayors, county officials, state reps from all over the country. There's probably maybe 400 or 500 here right now in the casino. Larry Pratt's here. Stuart Rhodes is here. I sat with Stuart Rhodes most of the day. Richard Mack, myself. You name it, they're here. It's absolutely phenomenal.
And how's the attendance down there?
Here he comes. Here he comes right now. Man of the hour, Mr. Pratt, Larry Pratt.
All right, Larry Pratt.
Yep. What was that again, brother?
I said Larry Pratt's the man. We met him last week in Philly, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I'm gonna actually be discussing some things with Larry and Richard Mack a little bit later on about teaming up, doing some things there with Gun Owners of America and CSPOA. So good fights on, brothers.
That's good, man. That's good. And I'm glad you're able to call in tonight because everyone was wondering how things were going down there and everything. And I texted you and called you. I was like, shit, I hope he doesn't get black bag down there.
No, it's a real good time. I'm surrounded by a lot of real good people. And I think 99.9% of them are armed except me. I'm the only one that didn't bring a gun.
Because of the Nazi TSA.
No, I actually found out that you could actually bring a gun on the plane. You just got to check it. You can actually bring a handgun on the plane, but you have to have it has to be in a lockbox. You have to declare it. They inspect the box. You can even bring ammunition, but you have to declare it, and that has to be in a locked box and the whole 9 yards. So I didn't know that until the boys from Arizona showed up with their guns.
Right. So now you know for next year.
Absolutely, brother. I guarantee you that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's cool. And then I know you're busy, and then you'll be back on next week, regular time, right?
Yeah. Yep, correct. I'll be back next week. I'll be flying out tomorrow night sometime. I should be back in PA late Saturday night, probably around 11:30, 12 o'clock, midnight. I should be in Philly. So tomorrow's going to be a very, very interesting day, I can tell you that, with the information that I was given today for a short presentation, a 10-minute presentation that was given by the top investigator that's been investigating a certain individual for almost 2 years now. Tomorrow is going to be the bombshell. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Hold on to your seats, my men. Hold on to your seats, brothers, because it's going to get very, very interesting. And like I said, these ain't my words. These are the words from law enforcement officials that are on the job 20-plus years, and it's just a shocker what they have to say. So. And hopefully it's going to be public. When, I'm not sure. If they say that if they give the green light to go ahead tomorrow after the law enforcement only meeting, then we'll do a radio show on it.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
I have a couple guys here.
Definitely. So go ahead, man. You go take care of business down there. I just glad you called in and just let us know how everything was.
Okay, brother.
And I'll talk to you on Sunday and make sure you're back safe and sound. And
all right.
All right, brother. You be safe now.
All right, my man. You too. Take care.
All right. Thanks,
God bless. Bye-bye.
I'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Aaron. That was the man, the myth, the legend, Chief Kessler, calling into his own show from the big conference down in Missouri, the CSPOA 2013 convention. Like you said, they got some bombshell news down there, and law enforcement only. So I mean, we'll have to wait, but I'm pretty sure that as soon as this comes out, it's going to go national. So can't wait to hear. It was a 22-month investigation. So exciting times we live in, huh, Mark Passio?
Absolutely, and I applaud the chief for the good work that he's doing, and his efforts to actually act as a peace officer in a constitutional capacity that respects the natural rights of individuals. So I want to say that I have a lot of respect for him for doing that.
Yeah, and he's every week he's here, and we started a show last week. We had a really good turnout of people, and hopefully the turnout was there again tonight and today, and feels good to be walking in his shoes, covering his show like this, and bringing on Pastor George, and then bringing on you, and then the chief thrown in the mix and everything, and just getting the word out there, man, that we're all tired of this crap,
right? And
we're banding together. This is what it's about. It's about unity within this. So, but Mark, Ed, where we left off,
sure.
We got about 15 minutes.
Okay. So, they got viciously angered at my declaration that I had engaged in a peaceful activity that was my natural right, that they had no right to attempt to stop me from exercising, and then they immediately resorted to violence. Okay, 3 of them come up from behind me, slap cuffs onto my wife, force us to the ground, apply the cuffs so tight and in a single locked capacity.
Right.
That it actually did some nerve damage to my left hand. I kept telling them, I'm actively being harmed. You put these cuffs on me, deliberately too tight. I want them loosened. They refused to do that. Okay, kept us there for almost a half an hour while my hands were bright red. Right. All the blood flow to my hands was completely arrested. And now, after this happened on May 18th, it's the 31st. I still cannot feel 3 of the knuckles on my left hand. I have diminished feeling on my left hand from what I can only imagine is nerve damage. I have not seen a doctor yet because I don't have the money to see a doctor. Right. I guess I'm going to have to, once I, take this into litigation, try to see a doctor over this. but I have, actual nerve damage resulting from what they've done, which is a subtle form of torture that they deliberately did because they didn't like the fact someone was standing up to them and asserting their rights. So they illegally, unlawfully searched my person when I told them I didn't consent to any searches because I had done nothing wrong, took my wallet out of my pocket, to check for an ID and run an ID, okay? And while I was being arrested there, I was speaking very loudly to all the people within a range, of my voice at Independence Hall, telling them that this is a violation of natural rights, constitutionally protected natural rights. All of their rights were being usurped in the process. This is what's happening in America. They need to sit up and take notice. And a crowd of like 100 people gathered around and was hearing me talk while this was all happening. And in that crowd was a descendant of one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, I saw her on video. Saying that.
Yep.
And there was kids there, and these kids don't need to be subjected to seeing someone thrown in handcuffs. And usually handcuffs are meant for the violent offenders.
Right.
They could have well enough told you to sit on the curb while they sort this out. They didn't have to throw you in handcuffs like you were.
Because what it is they're told to arrest anybody that they perceive as challenging them. These people think they're God. That's all it comes down to. Man is in a state where this group of people that call themselves government believes that they are becoming God on the earth. Let's not mince any words. Let's just call it as it really is. Exactly. What this whole situation is really about is a group of human beings who think that they are God. And they're going to be proven that they're not God on earth. This is going to be proven to them. One way or another, they're going to learn they're not God. Okay, so here's the end of what happened is they tried to issue us citations, okay, and I refused to take the citation. I said, I'm not taking that from you. I'm not signing it. I refuse to take it from your hand because I've done nothing wrong. You're the one who has done something wrong. I've committed no crimes. You're the one who has committed a crime, and I'm not taking that from you. I will be taking you each into court personally on personal criminal charges, not suing your department, but suing you individually as a human being for committing a crime. We've been assaulted. Our First Amendment protected natural rights have been usurped. Our Fourth Amendment natural rights have been usurped. Okay? Right. Amendment protected natural rights have been usurped. Also, property was stolen from me. They stole all of the remainders of my flyers, saying we're keeping this as quote-unquote evidence. Evidence of what? Of exercising free speech. Took all the flyers I had paid to print, and luckily I only had a few of them left. I had given out the bulk of them on the march earlier in the day of the end of Fed rally. And they stole a $20 bill out of my wallet. To add insult to injury, they stole money from my wallet like just a common criminal thug, petty thug thief on the street.
Right,
and these are the people who are entrusted with a position of so-called responsibility. These are psychopathic criminals. This is a psychopathic criminal activity, is what happened to us. We were victims of an assault. We were victims of the usurpation of natural rights. We were the victims of theft. Common thuggery is what we were the victims of. And anybody who doesn't accept that, anybody who doesn't think that's exactly what it was, is a slave. They think as a slave thinks.
Right.
Okay. If you don't know that that's what just took place, your mindset is the mindset of a slave, and you don't understand that we're moving into the same type of state as Hitler's Germany or Stalin's Russia.
And I'm glad you brought up the Hitler's Germany part, because it's and this will tie in with this too. If you look at one of the other co-hosts on the station, Zebra, who's also I co-host Watchmen Wednesdays with him, he brought up a picture a couple weeks ago after this whole Boston false flag event.
Yep.
Well, first of all, people were cheering.
Yep.
The martial law, and brought back remnants of the 30s with people cheering.
Yes.
The Nazi stormtroopers marching in to Austria.
Exactly. Hey, Bob, listen. Exactly what you're saying here is exactly what this country is becoming. And there's a reason it's becoming a police state a la the Nazi regime or a la the Soviet regime. There's a reason for it. There's an underlying causal factor for that most people have not identified yet. And that is the loss of morality that has occurred throughout all of America.
Yeah.
There's a natural law that is in place throughout the whole universe. As morality is lost, freedom is lost. As morality is gained, freedom is gained. Understand that law. You can never escape that law. If you don't know the difference between right and wrong, you're going into a prison societally. When society doesn't know the true difference between right and wrong, meaning they don't know their rights and they don't know what wrongs are, okay, you're going into a cage. You're going into deep bondage.
Right.
Okay?
And the scary thing, Mark, was I saw a picture of two guardsmen during Boston checking someone for papers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw another picture that had the Nazis or the SS checking papers.
Yeah.
That's the path that we're being led upon.
The Homeland Security is the new SS. It's the new Schutzstaffel.
Yeah.
Schutzstaffel meant the protection police. Homeland Security, the special police, the protection squadron. This is the new SS in America because this ideology did not die. It just transformed itself and went inside the people who had the ability to defeat it, which was the Americans. We were the only people who stood up against the Nazis and put them in their place. Well, Paperclip brought thousands of the Nazis and their ideology over to the United States. Just look it up.
Right, and it did. I remember that.
Here's the problem, Bob.
Yeah.
If you went into Nazi Germany in 1938 and you asked all the Nazi citizens, all the citizens of Germany, just regular, average, working class citizens, are you a moral people? Do you know what morality is? Do you know the difference between right and wrong? Do you have conscience? Do you exercise conscience? Every one of those people would have told you, yes, absolutely I do. How dare you even insinuate that I'm not a person of conscience? How dare you insinuate that in some way I don't know the difference between right and wrong? And yet they supported all of the police state policies like good little citizens, going along to get along, and supported it every step of the way and never spoke out against it. And the same thing is active here. You ask people, do you think you're moral? Do you think you know what a right is? Do you think you know the difference between right and wrong? Do you think you have a conscience truly born in you and in your mind and in your heart? Do you think you exercise your conscience on a daily basis? And everybody will say, they'll all say, oh, yes, absolutely, I do. And you know what? They're liars.
They are.
They don't know the difference between right and wrong. They don't have morality born in their heart. They don't truly, in their mind, truly know the difference between right and wrong because they don't really know what a right is and what a right is not. And they think these people somehow have some form of a moral right because somebody who thinks they're God, some psychopathic lunatic who thinks they're God, thinks that they can write a law down and in doing so take a natural right away from other human beings. And that can never be done no matter who believes that it can.
Exactly. And you said so many truths in that last statement there. I mean that they're not God and they're playing God, but they're taking God out of everything. And that's what people do need, a belief in a higher power. And I'm I'm far from the most religious person out there, Mark, and you know me.
That higher power sets the boundary conditions for creation. Those boundary conditions are known as natural law. The laws of nature, the laws of morality, the laws of right and wrong. This is the higher power that is extant in the universe, that exists, and that we are bound by, and that we need to understand how it works. And that natural law is what is being replaced by the laws of men who think that they are God on earth and want to control everybody in every aspect of their lives. And if we don't wake up to that moral law, if we don't wake up that man is not God and does not get to determine what right and wrong is, that those things exist inherently in nature, and it is up to us to discover what they are and then live in harmony with those boundary conditions called natural law, okay? If we don't understand that, we're going deeper and deeper and deeper into bondage.
And I can tell you this, our founding fathers are rolling over in their graves with this, what they set out to do has become a sham.
They were trying to teach people about moral law, and at every opportunity they attempted to instill in people, once you lose your morality, you're going to lose your freedom. If you don't understand that these two things go hand in hand, it's an equation. As morality increases, freedom increases. As morality declines, freedom declines. It's an equation. You can define it. Right. Just like you could define the laws of gravity, this is a natural law that operates the same way at all times and places. And if we don't wake up to it, again, we're going to lose everything. I talk about this very extensively and in-depth on my website, whatonearthishappening.com. Go and check it out. Start with the podcasts, I recommend. Go back to number 1 in the podcasts and work your way forward. Your mind will open up. Your consciousness will open up if you can engage the information with an open mind without at first accepting it or rejecting it out of hand. You have to give it a chance. You have to listen with an open mind. You have to listen with an open heart. And you'll go a long way if you take in that information. Whatonearthishappening.com. Go to the podcasts. Start from number 1. Work your way forward at your own pace. That's my recommendation.
Perfect. Beautiful, Mark. And I did post up the link to what happened downtown. And the whatonearthishappening.com link is there.
Great.
So just go on there. And unfortunately, we're out of time, Mark. And
Bob, thanks so much for inviting me on the show today. Great job you did filling in for the Chief.
Yeah, thank you, man. And I'll be in touch with you during the week, and we can discuss this further and discuss about you joining the Watchmen.
Absolutely.
Hint, hint, wink, wink. So.
Absolutely. I'm all for it, my friend.
Hey, thanks, brother. And you be safe out there, and then I'll be talking to you. I'll be talking to you during the week, man.
Great, Bob. Thanks. Have a good night.
You too, Mark.
All right,
folks.
Bye-bye.
That was Mark Passio from What on Earth is Happening, and he just got shafted by the feds, and it just goes to show what's happening, what is going on within this world.